Hello and welcome to another episode of Senior Soundings. I'm your host, Gerry LePage, and we are delighted to have as our guest this time Richard Muto of the Ocean State Center for Independent Living, which is a really fabulous and very important resource to residents of Rhode Island. Richard, welcome. Thanks for coming along. And we'd like to know everything there is to know about the Ocean State Center for Independent Living. So start us off, maybe a little bit of the history of the organization, and we'll just go on from there.
I'm glad to do so. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Okay, quickly. Back in 1963, 1953, a young man, 14 years old, named Edward Roberts, contracted polio. And so he was left paralyzed from the neck down. He could move a couple of fingers and several toes. And this was 2 years before the Salk ability to, well, the Salk, I can't find the word. The vaccination was available for them to stop the
polio vaccine.
Exactly, yeah, and to stop the whole issue. So anyway, his mother was really helpful in teaching him how not to look at himself as a person with disabilities who couldn't do anything, and got him to realize that he was a star. And so in 1962, he decided to apply for the University of California at Berkeley. And they were really reluctant to take him on. One of the deans actually said, we've tried people with disabilities. Well, the way he actually said it was, we tried people who were crippled, and it didn't work. So they did take him on. Now, he had some challenges. He slept in an iron lung, a big 800-pound behemoth, and it did not fit in the dorm rooms. So they offered him the wing of a medical center, which was not in use. He said he would use that, but he wanted them to actually turn it into a real dormitory for people with disabilities. Excuse me, and they did. So they developed a really good core of people in that dorm who decided to become more of advocates for what they need, because they needed challenges. They needed to address the challenges on the university property, cuts in the curbs, accessibility to buildings, accessibility to classrooms. And so basically they kept pushing for change. And at the beginning of the 60s, change was really starting to come in. And so his vocational counselor said that he was too disabled to ever actually work a real job. And off of that, back in 1976, Governor Gerry, I always have to look at my mom.
Gerry Brown.
Thank you, yes.
Gerry Brown.
Gerry Brown. He actually picked Edward to be the director of this agency, where he was told he was not able to ever work. And so he kept pushing. He and his fellow classmates and other advocates began really pushing for people finding the needs that they needed to address, and how to address goals and how to get there. And in '72, they developed the first Center for Independent Living. At this point, there's more than 400 throughout the country. Each state has at least one. Larger states have a lot more. Rhode Island's CIL, the Ocean State Center for Independent Living, we cover the entire state of Rhode Island. Okay? So we have core services I want to quickly address. Now, I always have my bullet points with me whenever I present, because it seems every time I'm on the way back, I slap my forehead and say, I forgot to tell them this. You know, so I always have a list now to make sure.
Good.
Okay, the core parts of our mission, advocacy. We help people identify what their goals are, what the challenges are, how to come up with strategies, and how to actually meet the goals they're trying to make. Whether they are going into the workforce, what are compliances they need, what's ADA compatible, what's a reasonable request. And so they are able to then live and work in the community and stay safe and independent in their own homes. We also teach people independent living skills, such as if they don't drive and they need to get to their job on a daily basis, how to use the paratransit rides, the buses, whatever system is available that they need, and how to navigate those systems and get where they need to go. If they're in an office, what is it they need to be able to use office equipment, what is disposable to them, and what they need to make everything work for them, and how to ask for what they need. We also have information and referrals. If a person contacts us and does not quite fit into the programs and services we offer, we don't just drop them. We then find the resources they need to connect them. And so then it's not that they're not going to get their needs met. If we can't do it, we're going to find a way for them to do it anyway. We then have peer support. Now, 51% of the people who are on the board and 51% of the people who are staff have to identify with a disability. 51% of our board does identify with a disability. In the office, 63% of the people working there identify with a disability. And that's important because peer support is vital to learn how to live in the community.
Sure.
And some people are born with disabilities and they learn different strategies as they go throughout life. They connect to different services, programs. They then age out of certain programs and they need to then figure out the next steps as they become adults. Some people come upon their disability later on in life, and so they quite often feel isolated. They don't feel anyone would ever know the situation. They don't know anybody to talk to, what's available. They stay in their home. They won't talk to anybody. So being able to call the office and talk to somebody who has similar challenges, they can talk about strategies and resources and join support groups. And so they realize they are not alone. There are people just like them, and there are ways to develop a new life. And so after that, we have transitions. We have 2 transition programs, one for nursing home and one for youth. People in the nursing home, they might be there for a short while. They might have had a hip replacement. They're convalescing. They're coming home. We will go in, we'll talk to the doctors, the nurses, support staff, therapists, the person themselves, their family, and find out what it is they really need to be able to go home again. We'll assess the home, see what we need to do to make it accessible for them, so when they come home again, everything is in place, so it's a smooth transition.
Right, so the obvious things like wheelchair ramps, grip railings, and that kind of thing, monitoring to see if there are fall hazards, like a little loose throw rug of some kind.
Bed rails, grab bars, transfer benches, shower benches, all these things that they're going to need when they get home to be able to go home and do it. On top of that, let's see, we're going to turn the page. Okay, assessment services. We do go into a person's home, we interview them, we listen to what they feel the needs are, and we watch how they are able to move around the house, what they can use, what the problems are. And we come up with a system and a list of what we can do to help them. And we work with them to find out what it is they really feel they need, and we can then say, well, we also noticed every day when you take a shower, you grunt and groan as you get your leg over the rim of the tub, then you grunt and groan to get the other leg up. And so we say, well, you know, we can just do a tub cut. You can just like step right in.
Right.
Because there's things people don't really know about. And so we fill in all the gaps. And so we might also look if they need like a ramp, grab bars, a stair lift, ramps that lift straight up rather than having a long one, depending upon what the situation, what the house can handle. You know?
Right. You have to deal with the architectural limitations of the dwelling itself.
Exactly.
Stairs. Is there an elevator? You know,
Exactly.
if they're on an upper floor, how do they get there? And
Exactly.
Sure.
What is it? Are there the thresholds between one room to the other that they might not be able to get through?
Right.
Is the doorway or the hallway too not wide enough to accommodate a wheelchair?
Right.
Do they need recessed hinges so the door pulls back out of the framework of the door, so again a wheelchair can come through. We also have what we call assistive technology, which is well over 100 different tools to help people in the home. Let me find my list of, here we are. Okay, basically things like easy opener jar openers, adjustable rollators, walkers, sonic boom alarms and bed shakers for people who have hearing disabilities. They might not hear a regular alarm. We have shower chairs, transfer boards, bed rails, faucet grips, also the automatic can opener and jar openers, which are really great. I like to tell about when I was first coming back from my brain injury and my hands were weak, and there was always a jar to open. I'd meet the elderly woman across the street in the middle of the street, and she would open them for me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
So, but
That's
anyway,
the support network. Though.
Exactly.
Very,
yes.
very important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have well over 100 tools, and if there are things that we don't have, we can get them for the person.
Now, you have these in stock, and you just give them out to people?
Yes, some things we can put on loan for like 30 days until they can arrange to get their own, like possibly a wheelchair, because wheelchairs have to be a prescription from the doctor,
Right.
and then they're fitted to them and all of that.
Right.
But if they just got home from the nursing home and they haven't gotten the wheelchair yet, we can loan it for like 30 days until they actually get the real one.
Yeah.
We have all these different tools to help. Then we have Alexa. Okay. Alexa can be set up to turn the lights on, turn them off, lock the doors, unlock the doors, remind you to take your meds, go to the doctor's appointments, alert you if there's bad weather like a tornado coming at you, which nowadays is actually a possibility, you know. We have smart locks, so you can open up the door with your thumbprint, facial recognition. You can assign a code on your phone. You can assign a code to family members or visiting nurses. And so people can get the help they need when they need it. We have smart phones to help them if, in case an emergency does come about. It can give information to the doctors. Some of them connect right to the doctor's offices. If somebody's blood pressure is taking a nosedive, the doctor can be alerted to it. We have fall alerts and such. We also have, oh gosh, we have so many things. Okay. We have the tech support, so if they need special equipment, if a person is low vision and such, we can set up equipment to help them with whatever the needs are in order to see what they need or have things read to them. We have a gift of hearing program. We can get at least one high-end hearing aid per person per 5 years. Sometimes if the funding is right, we can sometimes get 2, depending upon what's available. And speaking of funding, our funding does have parameters that we must follow. So a person must fit into the guidelines in order to be served by us.
Okay.
But actually, let me go to. I actually have.
So yeah, income guidelines,
Yes.
possibly an asset limit too, as far as like
Yes.
what they have saved up.
Yes, in fact, here it is. Okay, if a person is single, and you don't have it on your list, I just added it right before I left.
Okay.
Okay, if a person is single and they have $4,530 or less a month as income, and they have $25,000 or less in their combined savings and checking account, they would qualify. If
So those are pretty generous limits then.
They really are. Most people do qualify.
Right.
If a person is married, together the spouses bring in $6,103 or less a month, and they have less than $25,000 or less in their checking and savings, they qualify.
Right.
A person also has to be self-directing. They have to be able to talk about what their needs are and participate in the conversation of what they need, what we can offer, and if it's going to work or not for them, so they can actually guide what their needs are in getting the goals completed. So most people do fall into these categories. And so we will find as many ways as possible to connect them. And again, if we don't have what they need, we'll find somebody who does have what they need and how to connect them to what they need to get.
Now, speaking about things that people need and the like, and you mentioned that you either give or loan equipment to people.
Yes.
Is this like used equipment that's been donated, or do you have used equipment? And what do you do, if anything, to make sure, if it's a wheelchair, for instance, like all the bolts are tight and all of that?
We have both new equipment and used equipment. If there's used equipment, we make sure everything has gone through and make sure it's back at top notch.
Okay.
So there's not going to be a moment where the wheel suddenly rolls on without
Right.
you. You know, yeah. We make sure. Again, everything is focused on safety and independence, and so we're going to make sure we're not going to take any chance that something is suddenly going to remove that independence.
Right.
You know.
So if someone wants to make a donation, is there a particular procedure
Yes.
that you need to that needs to be followed?
I'm glad you brought that up. Okay. Anyone can come to the website. That's OSCIL.org.
Okay.
It's the initials, Ocean State Center for Independent Living. There are donation buttons on the website. You can call us or just go online and make donations. And that actually brings up another thing. When a person does qualify, we only have so much money, like any 501c3.
Right.
We want to spend it as much as we can to as many people as possible.
People, sure.
So we will check and see first off if there's any other funding source. Will the person's health insurance cover it? Will Medicare, Medicaid cover it? If they're a vet, will the VA cover it?
Right.
And as a last resort, if nobody else will cover it, then we'll pay for it. And that way, whatever the people receive is free to them. Right?
Good. So you are a nonprofit organization,
Yes.
so you do have limited resources.
Yes.
How do you navigate that? Do you have fundraising events, or
Well,
if you run out of money, what can you do?
Well, we're very strict with where our financial deadline is, where the new fiscal year starts and whatnot. So we do get very specific funding, a lot of state funding, a lot of federal funding, and there are a number of different grants that we get for very specific projects and programs. And so there is money available, but again, we always have to be sure how we spend it correctly.
Yeah.
And we also do have things like out of the box, where there's a little bit of funding for a situation where we can help somebody, but it doesn't fall under the guidelines of the specific programs themselves. There was one woman who was in a hoarding situation, and she came up with the idea that if she could just organize things and put them into large containers and just pile them up in her closet, that would actually help the situation she was in. And since these bins did not actually fall under any other program, we were able to look at out of the box, and that way we were able to have her stay in her apartment because she was no longer in an actual hoarding situation. Everything was organized now.
Right. So that like a little kind of like a discretionary fund that can be used for those miscellaneous needs that aren't covered by a specific grant or the like.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Well, now let's get back to the history a little bit. When did Ocean State Center for Independent Living come into being?
I think it was in the 80s, mid-80s, but they've been slowly progressing throughout the United States, and the opportunity came up, so we were able to then build it towards what the needs were in our state at that time. And things change, and so we have to adapt to what the most prevalent needs are year to year. What do we need to? What programs do we need to build on? What programs? What needs are not being met, and how to do it? When I was hired just 3 years ago, I was hired to do a lot of outreach. Anytime you go to an outreach event, you'll see me behind a table. You know. But we're very much aware that the southern part of the state is a very underserved population. And we have a lot of community organizations and other resources and agencies in Providence and reaching out to the northern part of the state. Southern Rhode Island doesn't have nearly that amount of resources.
So South County and Newport County pretty much.
Exactly. All the way to Westerly, Charleston, anywhere basically past the tower at 138 and 1, you know. And so I've been going out there trying to connect with as many resources that are there, doctors' offices, other agencies, just to have people know that there are resources to help them. And quite often people might not need them now, but I tell them to put it in the drawer. That way when something does develop, if your neighbor suddenly needs help, if the person across the street, the child in your first grade class, somebody at one point is going to need some assistance. And if you have the info, you can pass it on and say, check them out, because they might be able to give you something that you're going to need to keep going on. You know?
Well, I remember from my own case management days, a lot of times people would call us just to see, you know, my dad needs a wheelchair, or my dad needs fill in the blank, whatever piece of equipment. And of course, it's not only OSCIL, it's the case management agencies and a lot of other nonprofits. The senior centers is another big place that receive a lot of donated equipment. And so it would be an effort to, well, we don't happen to have one here, but let me check around. And I imagine that's pretty much the same way that you approach it as well. If someone needs, I don't know, some piece of equipment that's rather specialized and may not be commonly used.
And actually, that's interesting, because I go, in fact, I was at an event last night. I go to all these events with all these different people from different agencies, and I always tell them, none of us can do this alone. We have to connect with as many other agencies and resources as possible.
Yep.
That way, we can call somebody and say, I know somebody who needs your help, because the only way to do it is for all of us to band together
Yep.
to help as many people as possible.
Yep.
None of us get into this to get rich, obviously. So, yeah, but we do it because we all really have a passion to help as many people as possible. And I have to say, two things I have to say. First off, I'm incredibly lucky that I'm a brain injury survivor, because it has introduced me to so many amazing, remarkable people who are all there with just this passion to help as much as they can, you know? And then meeting all these people who are on the front lines trying to help. Here's a problem. What can we do to solve it? You know, and who do we know who can help us come up with a game plan to solve it? You know, so anytime I go to an event, we're all like waving across the room at each other.
You want to try to meet as many of those people as possible to give them your information, and
exactly.
And it is an ongoing effort, because there are people like me who have been working for years in the field, and I know about a lot of what resources are available and so on, so I can direct people to a place that they can get the help they need. But, you know, there are new people coming into the field all the time. You know, kids graduating from college, and now they're advancing out into the work world. But they may have all the best intentions and ambition to help others, but you have to have that basic knowledge of, well, we can't supply that, but there's got to be somebody out there who does. And so who are they? And that's why making these outreach contacts is so important.
And also, it's vital to keep people who have been in these programs for years, people who are coming to an advanced age, because they know the history of what has come about, what worked, what didn't work, who was there to help these specific situations. Do we still have access to them in some way? Because people who have this knowledge for years really know the ins and outs of how to work around where the barriers are.
And that's why that peer support, I think, is really such a vital element of what OSCIL provides in services, because having the perspective of someone who's been there is really so much more helpful to a person with a disability. Well, Richard, I wish we had more time to complete this conversation, because it sounds as though there's still quite a bit more that we would have to do. So I hope you will come back on another future episode of Senior Soundings. But thanks again for coming on.
Thank you.
And thank you, viewers, for joining us. We'll see you again next time on Senior Soundings. So long.
Lucy's Hearth is a family shelter in Middletown, Rhode Island. We provide a continuum of housing supports for families experiencing homelessness across Rhode Island. If you are looking for ways to help, please visit our website at lucyshearth.org.